Good morning, everyone. I hope you slept well and that you had nice dreams. I slept very well, thank you. Today, we are going to be talking about what happened on the third day. Let's get started. Oop. Let me put on my vision enhancement devices so that I can see clearly the Word of God. I know it's magic. They help me see things clearly and get a deeper understanding of what I'm looking at. I got people that made these for me. I think it was the Walgreens. So, here we go. Remember when we were talking before on the second day that God separated between the waters which were beneath the firmament and the waters which were above the firmament. So God is the waters, right? And that's what we were able to determine because God separated itself between the waters above the firmament and the waters below the firmament. Okay, we get that? Okay. God said, "Let the waters beneath the heaven, the firmament, be gathered into one area, and let the dry land appear." So what did we say God was? The waters, right? So God is gathering itself into an area. This is where it begins to become a collective, become a one thing. It figures out a way to gather itself and have a focused consciousness in a specific space. Does that make sense? It's like I can project my thought out to a friend who is in another state and visualize what they're doing. I could also project my consciousness and my awareness to any location in the universe and know what's happening in that specific area. Okay? Now, get into some stuff that we'll talk about sometime later. But there is a way that can be done, but you can also, as you're projecting your consciousness out to a different space, you could also transfer your physicalness to that space. Yeah. Do your research and you can see that that's been done. Watch the movie Suspect Zero. Talks about remote viewing. Remote viewing. It can be done. Okay. So anyway, so this is where God is bringing his consciousness together. It's awareness to a specific spot. It says, "Let the waters beneath the heaven be gathered into one area." So let's think about this spot for just a second. Okay, let's essentially what it's saying. And let the dry land appear. And it was so. Now you think about that. Let the dry land appear. And it was so, and God called it to the dry land. These words that they're using here are pretty specific. I want you to take note of this because it says that God called to the dry land earth. To the dry land earth. So in this particular part of the scriptures, when God is calling to something, it means when he speaks the word to, that thing manifests. He calls to the land earth. It appears and becomes gathered together, and it forms this thing that he has in his mind called earth. And to the gathering of the water he called seas. Seas. Isn't that interesting? Called seas, which is many different forms of waters, right? Different bodies. That'll come into play here in a minute. And God saw that it was good. So we notice now that God is making this thing. He's putting all these things together and creating an environment. Okay? Because it said, let the earth sprout vegetation, herbage, yielding seed, fruit trees yielding fruit, each after its kind, containing its own seed on the earth. And it was so. And the earth brought forth vegetation, herbage yielding seed after its kind, and trees yielding fruit, each containing its seed after its kind. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, a third day. All right. And when we're talking about this vegetation, these things that are being created, they're coming forth from the earth. So we were discussing earlier, earth is the solidness of things. It's the stuff. Okay? And the waters are the spiritual things that are manifest in this realm. Okay? So when we're talking about earth, we're talking about physical things. Because everything comes from the earth. As he's talking about here, God called the dry land earth. And God said that it was good, and let the earth sprout vegetation. You see? So think about this for a moment as we're talking about this thing here, that the earth, if you want to go even deeper, the earth would be the nucleus of the atom. The very, very center, that part that is a wave until you look at it. See, the earth is that thing that's in the center. and that it is bringing forth neutrons and photons and electrons and those things. Okay? Bringing forth their fruit. And those, different combinations of those, brings forth specific things. But the seed is in the earth. The seed is in the center. The seed is the nucleus of the atom. And that's where all things are springing forth from the earth. And when we're talking about the waters and the seas, you know, the necessity for the waters and the seeds, the waters is what springs it forth into life. But we'll talk about that here a little bit later. How important the water is for these things to be created and sprouted up. Okay. Yeah. So think about that. Swirl that around in your noodle for a little bit. And try to imagine, again, that the Spirit of God is the waters, because it separated itself into seas. We'll see that play out here in a minute. And try not to think of it as wet water. Try not to think of it as water like rain. Okay? Or lake, or the stuff that's coming out of your faucet. Try not to think of it as that, but think of it as that physical characteristic of God that came from the ether. Okay? It's a physical characteristic. It's a wave. We'll say that. It's the wave. It would be better characterized as that for those of you who are scientists. And the earth is the particle. Okay? So we have the particles and the waves. And they're working together here to make something. Gotcha? Okay. I hope you have a wonderful day. And I wish you many blessings. But above all, until we meet again, I wish you well.